Pandemics, a biological disaster so powerful that it has the power to change our everyday way of life in an instant. It can wipe out large percentages of the population or even exterminate entire civilizations. Hello everyone, welcome to Top 10 History, your hub for historical lists and amazing history facts. Today we're going to go over the top 10 pandemics that changed history. Make sure to watch until number 1 because what you'll learn about our number 1 pick will surely shock you. And just a quick disclaimer, we did not consider the COVID-19 pandemic to be among this list as it is still an ongoing conflict at the time this video was made, and the long-term effects it leaves on history is still yet to be discovered. Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on because we release a new historical top 10 list every single day. Also, make sure to smash that like button. Alright, let's get right into the video. Number 10. The Peloponnesian War Pandemic. The earliest recorded pandemic in history happened in 430 BC in Athens, ancient Greece. At this time, the famous rivalry of Sparta and Athens were fighting at full force, with the Peloponnesian League, led by the Spartans, fighting against the Delian League, led by the Athenians. However, during this time, there was a disease spreading on the other side of the Mediterranean. Some historians believed it to be a form of typhoid fever, believed to have originated in modern-day Libya. The disease then spread throughout northeast Africa in countries such as modern-day Egypt and modern-day Ethiopia. The disease spread over the Mediterranean, likely by travelers who were traveling across the Mediterranean by ship, and started to infect the Spartans. After the Spartans laid siege to Athens, the disease entered the big city. It was estimated that about 2/3 of the entire city was wiped out by this terrible disease, and being that it was ancient times, there wasn't much that could be done about it. The disease played a key role in the fall of Athens, since it severely weakened the city. Symptoms of the disease include fever, thirst, bleeding in the throat and mouth, and skin lesions. Number 9. The Cyprus Plague. Speaking about legendary empires, here's another terrible disease that haunted the Roman Empire. Believing to start in Ethiopia, this terrible disease spread across northern Africa and even spread across the Sinai Peninsula and into the Middle East. And unfortunately for Europe, this was a plague that tended to stick around since there were outbreaks that lasted from 250 AD all the way to about 444 AD. Just to remind you, the disease is believed to have originated in Ethiopia and spread all the way to Great Britain. Just like the previous plagues we talked about, the introduction of this new disease affected the performance of the Britons in their war against the Scots. The disease named after its patient zero, a man named Cyprian, who happened to be the Christian bishop of Carthage. Symptoms of the Cyprian plague include vomiting, fever, diarrhea, and throat ulcers. The disease is believed to have been spread from fleas, which lived on rats, believing it to be one of the first ancestors of the bubonic plague. Number 8. Leprosy in the 11th century. You might not think that this would count as a pandemic since cases of leprosy have been around all throughout history. Even today, tens of thousands suffer from it. However, in the Middle Ages in Europe, there were huge amounts of cases of leprosy, particularly in the 11th century. Leprosy is a bacterial infection that causes severe skin deformities. Back in the day, before people understood the biology behind the disease, it was believed that God sent down the disease in order to punish us mortals on earth. Because this was believed, those who had the disease were classified as blasphemous and undesirable and were often shunned from society. You can count yourself lucky that you live in a time period that is much more knowledgeable about disease and medicine. Number 7. Russian flu. Also known as the Asiatic flu, the first flu pandemic that was of great global significance was the Russian flu. Originating in the frozen hellscape of Siberia and also in Kazakhstan, the flu then spread to major Russian cities such as Moscow through the Siberian rail systems. After reaching Moscow, the virus was then able to spread to the rest of Europe. Soon after, it spread globally, reaching the continents of Africa and North America. It is considered one of the deadliest pandemics in history, having killed about 1 million people worldwide. The public developed a belief that fasting would help eliminate the virus from their bodies, as that would starve out the virus. As you can imagine, this was terrible medical advice and would only weaken the body even further. Number 6. Antoine Plague. If any type of civilization is good at spreading a plague, it would be one that is always on the go. And not only a people that are always on the go, but a nomadic tribe that is constantly pillaging and raiding. In this case, it would be the Huns in 165 AD. The Antoine Plague originated in the Hunnic Empire and is believed to be an earlier form of smallpox. The Huns, who were a belligerent force and a big thorn in the side to the rest of Europe, spread the disease across the continent. It was believed that Huns first infected the lands of modern-day Germany, and then the ethnic German people spread the disease to the colossal Roman Empire, who arguably suffered the most from this disease. One of the many victims of the diseases was Emperor Marcus Aurelius. further demonstrating how terrible diseases like this can drastically change the course of history. Symptoms of the Antoine Plague include sore throat, fever, diarrhea, and sores, which once again lead historians to believe that it may have been an early form of smallpox. Number 5. HIV/AIDS. A hot topic in the 1980s, this disease attacked one's immune system. The HIV virus would attack one's white blood cells, causing the human body to become vulnerable to everyday diseases that the body would normally be able to fight off. The disease was mainly spread through bodily fluid transmission, usually through blood transfusion and by unprotected sex. It became commonly associated with the homosexual community, as gay men were the most common demographic to contract the disease. The disease is believed to have originated from chimpanzees in Western Africa, but then spread to the Caribbean and eventually to the United States and all over the world. The plague is technically ongoing, as there is no known cure to this day, and AIDS has claimed the lives of over 35 million people worldwide. Number 4. Spanish flu. Spread by birds, the Spanish flu remains one of the deadliest health disasters in human history, with over 500 million infected worldwide, and 50 of those 500 million would lose their life. Spread by birds, the Spanish flu started in 1918 and was believed to have originated in the Spanish capital of Madrid, leading the disease to gain the nickname the Spanish flu. During its spread, there were no vaccines or effective drugs available to treat patients who contracted the deadly virus, leading to a total of 50 million deaths worldwide. In the United States, the public had no idea what to do with all the dead bodies, as hundreds of thousands of Americans had fallen every single year. In 1919, the pandemic ended naturally as those who were infected developed natural immunities to the virus. The virus caused schools and businesses to close, and the global economy took a massive hit, changing our entire way of life. The Spanish flu was no ordinary everyday flu. Victims reportedly had their skin turn blue and their lungs would fill with fluid, causing suffocation. And this could happen within hours of contracting the virus. Number 3. The Spanish Plagues. When European settlers and explorers arrived at the United States for the first time, most notably the Spanish, they also brought some other unpleasant companions with them. The Native American tribes and civilizations had completely different immune systems from the Europeans. So any European sicknesses that were brought over with the explorers often resulted in fatalities for the natives. Some of these illnesses included smallpox, measles, and the notorious bubonic plague. These illnesses severely weakened the Native American civilizations, with over 90% of the native population of North and South America passing away from the European diseases. This made it even easier for great indigenous empires such as the Aztec Empire to fall to the European conquerors. The devastation was said to be so bad that it caused climate change, with over 90% of the human population gone to provide vegetation with carbon dioxide. The area experienced a sudden drop in temperature. Historians estimated the total amount of Native American deaths to be somewhere around 56 million. Number 2. The Plague of Justinian. Going down as one of the worst plagues in history, the Plague of Justinian devastated the Middle East and the Byzantine Empire. The plague first appeared in Egypt in 541 AD and spread through modern-day Israel and Palestine and into the Byzantine Empire, eventually spreading across the entire Mediterranean. Named after the Roman Emperor Justinian, who was in power at the time, the emperor was unable to accomplish his goals for the empire due to the plague. Justinian was on a mission to reunite the empire and economy, but the plague caused the complete opposite to happen, dividing the empire even further as well as devastating the economy. The plague lasted for 2 whole centuries and killed over 50 million people, which was 26% of the world's population at the time. Due to the devastating conditions, the plague led to the accelerated speed of faith in Christianity during this time. Number 1. The Black Death. Yeah, you were probably expecting this one to pop up on this list eventually. Also known as the bubonic plague, this was a disease that went down in history as one of the worst of all time. The Black Death was believed to have started in Eastern Asia, but spread west into Europe, most likely through caravans and other trade routes. The Black Death first entered Europe in 1347 when infected travelers landed in Sicily. The disease spread very rapidly, the culprit of the spread being the fleas that lived off rats. And speaking of plagues that changed history, Britain and France were so distracted by the plague that both kingdoms agreed on a mutual ceasefire. Vikings at the time were weakened to the point where they stopped all raids and postponed their exploration of North America. And not only that, the British feudal system completely dissolved. It was one of the deadliest and world-changing plagues in history of the world. Passing by dead bodies on the street became the new norm. By the end of it, over 1/3 of the population of all of Europe would succumb to the plague. Did these facts shock you? Make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more amazing historical facts and much more. If you like this video, check out this next video on the top 10 facts about Ukraine. Alright, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.